studio now. Alyn Smith is there. He's a Scottish nationalist member of the European Parliament. Alyn Smith, welcome to the Daily Politics. We've always been told, and I've been personally told by Alex Salmond, that there is no question that if Scotland leaves the United Kingdom, it remains part of the European Union without a hiccup. You can't say that anymore, can you?
No, yes, we can, and it's really important that we understand the significance of the Edinburgh Agreement within this context, and where people are really, and Michael Moore there, I lost count of how many caveats he was sticking into everything he was saying there. I mean, we're seeing assertion versus assertion, and what we need to do is look at the reality of how the EU operates. The EU is an expansionist organisation. This is unprecedented. No bit of a member state has made this decision before. There is no rule book. So in exactly the same way that East German reunification with Germany was legally impossible, a way will be found. We're part of the EU right now. All the balance of probability, all the certainty that we have, our students are already part of the Erasmus programme.
No, I understand all that. No one's denying that.
We stay in.
No, well, you want to stay in. I understand that. That's not the argument. But let me just put what the EU Commission letter says. It's quite clear. It says if a territory of a member state ceases to be part of that member state, in other words, Scotland, if it voted to leave the United Kingdom, because it's become an independent state, the treaties would cease to apply to that territory. That's quite clear. You'd have to reapply.
Well, there's a couple of points I'll make there, and the most important point is that that letter doesn't actually exist and hasn't actually been signed off by the European Commission. What we're seeing here is a black ops operation by the Scotsman, which really does it no credit. Now, you're right. In the event part of a territory ceases to be part of a member state, then the treaties don't apply. You're right. But the Edinburgh Agreement makes very clear that the people of Scotland have a choice to make in 2014 which decides the principle, whereupon there's a series of negotiations between Edinburgh and London, and the European Commission has made very clear, President Barroso on the the Today programme, barely 6 months or so ago, made very clear that the Commission will take due cognizance of a negotiated agreement between the two parts of the former United Kingdom.
Are you claiming this letter doesn't exist, that the Scotsman made it up?
The Commission made that very clear at the midday briefing yesterday.
Well, the letter doesn't exist. Are you saying the Scotsman...
It has not been signed off.
No, that's different.
Not been delivered.
No, so not being signed off is a different matter. Are you claiming this letter doesn't exist and that the Scotsman made it up?
There has been no letter sent, and how the Scotsman managed to see that letter is a very interesting
That's not what
question.
I've asked you. Are you claiming that this letter doesn't exist?
I've made various calls to Brussels myself, and I've been told that the letter exists in various parts and there's various paragraphs floating around. It doesn't exist as a unified document. So how the Scotsman managed to see various bits which have been taken out of context is a very curious question.
Well, I think it's called rather original journalism and getting a scoop is how I would put it. Maybe post-Levison that won't be a lot. Well, you call it black ops, which is interesting, which is why a lot of newspapers don't want to be regulated by people like you. But let me come back to the issue at hand today, which isn't it perfectly possible, if the Commission is right and if the Secretary of State for Scotland is right, and I appreciate there were a lot of caveats in what he said, that if you vote for independence, you will have to negotiate with London the terms of the divorce, and at the same time you'll have to be negotiating with Brussels the terms of your re-entry as an independent nation into the European Union.
Well, firstly, the use of the word divorce is very emotionally charged there. We're negotiating a new status within the EU from within.
We're not allowed to use that word, are we?
Well, you can use it if you like, but it's not actually like with like about what we're actually talking about. The issue here is that we negotiate a new status from within. We're part of the EU presently. There's implications in this for both sides. I mean, Scotland will increase its MEP representation. The UK will lose some MEPs. This needs to be taken account of, but what we're talking about here is negotiation over the details and the housekeeping. The principle will be decided by the people of Scotland in 2014, and then we've got a period of negotiations where we sort that out. And the EU aspects of the negotiation will be as nothing compared to the negotiations that we're going to be having between Edinburgh and London. The European Commission is a commission based on law, based on human rights and treaty law. It will take due cognizance of the democratic decision of the people of Scotland. They don't want to lose us. We don't want to leave. We'll stay in.
All right, Alyn Smith, thank you very much for that from Edinburgh.